Hello, I'm Beverly Hosford, and today I have Erin Nitschke with me. We're going to be talking about body awareness and body image and some concepts around that. I'm really excited to have Erin with us. Dr. Erin Nitschke is NFPT certified as a personal trainer. She's NSCA certified as a personal trainer. She's also an ACE health coach, a fitness and nutrition specialist, a therapeutic exercise specialist, and a PN1 Health and Human Performance College professor, a fitness blogger, a mother, and a passionate fitness professional. So she's got a lot of different credentials. Erin's been in the fitness industry for 15 years, teaching at colleges. She believes in the power of a holistic approach to healthy living, and she really loves encouraging her students and clients to develop positive body harmony by teaching focused skill development and lifestyle balance. Erin formerly is the Director of Educational Partnerships and Programs for the NFPT. She's an editorial author for ACE, IDEA, the Sheridan Press, and the Casper Star Tribune. And you can visit her personal blog at belivestaywell.com, which we'll talk about a little more at the end. So thanks for being with me today, Erin.
Thank you for asking me.
Yes, absolutely. I'm really excited to talk to you about body image and body awareness and hear what your thoughts are about those two.
I'm excited to share. I'm never short on words, that's for sure.
Well, you're really passionate about body image. So, do you feel like there's a relationship between body image and body awareness?
I do. When we talk about body awareness, at least in a formal sense, it's usually about one's spatial awareness, their ability to understand how their body moves. And there's a confidence piece to that. And I do think that, and body image, in contrast, is really how we perceive ourselves, whether it's real or imagined. Usually it's imagined against some sort of standard. Body awareness is really, I think you can take it into a more holistic approach as opposed to just talking about it in the sense that, oh, this person has great body awareness because they know how to move in X, Y, and Z direction. Their spatial awareness is good. They're not clumsy, in other words. They have good body awareness. It's typically how we talk about it in a physical education aspect. But I think the awareness piece, at least to me, is more about your relationship with yourself and the greater world. So how you're feeling at any one time, it's like a whole body inventory of how you're feeling. Like, are you aware of discomfort in your own body? Are you aware of how something triggers you? Or are you aware that you feel something somewhere and do you know how to fix that? And I do think, at least what I see, and this is just my professional opinion from being an educator for so long and teaching these healthy living concepts, that someone that's got greater body awareness also has a stronger and more positive relationship with their body. Whether or not academic research reflects that, I don't know. I haven't spent time in the annals of medical research to be able to say that, but it's just my own kind of observation, stepping back and knowing that the experiences I've had with people, that they do demonstrate, like, I'm much more aware of how I feel and how my body is talking to me, and they have a greater perception of how they feel themselves. They don't seem so drawn into that standard of comparison, I guess.
Interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't really think about that, but it seems like if they were like so tuned into their body all the time, they might have a negative or a positive view. Like, if you're tuned in all the time, you might notice the negative aspects or you might notice the positive. But that's an interesting standpoint, because do you think that too much, so it sounds like you probably think that too much body awareness, is like, there's no such thing. Like, body awareness is only a positive thing.
I think it can go either way. Things that are really great for us, we can take to an extreme, like exercise. We can become obsessed with it so that it becomes then a negative stressor versus a positive stressor. We see that all the time, and that is very substantiated by tons of research. The same thing can be said about nutrition. Dialing in nutrition is one thing, but dialing it in to the point that you obsessively measure every little thing and limit yourself to 12 almonds at this serving, that's negative.
Mm-hmm.
because we're then muting the intuitive sense that humans have to eat when we're hungry versus by the clock. Or because, this program says at 1 p.m. I get 12 almonds and a cube of cheese, or whatever the case is. I don't know. So I think it can be negative. And so with too much body awareness, I often wonder how much of it then becomes like a state of worry. Oh, do I actually feel that? Do I feel that? Like, can you start then making things up? If you're so aware of what's going on inside, are you muting what's going on around you?
Right.
In some sense? I think any positive thing can be taken to an extreme and be made to become something that's more of a detriment than a help.
Okay. That's great. Yeah, you always have to put it in context for sure. But when did you first discover this concept of body awareness or body mindfulness? Do you have a story or a memory or maybe a teacher or mentor that stands out for you?
Where it clicked for me, I started taking yoga, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago. And I really credit my first yoga instructor. She and I are still very good friends to this day. She doesn't live here near me anymore, but she would really talk about that awareness piece. Where do you feel it? Send your energy there. Send your breath there. And then I started thinking about awareness in different terms. Like, oh, so it's really about that intuitive sense of, okay, so if I have discomfort here, what could be the trigger for that? And she would start teaching about chakras and alignment of chakras. And it was just something that spoke to me. And I'm like, So I think at that point, awareness really became solidified as a concept. Throughout my undergraduate studies before I met Jessica, of course, we were always studying physical education principles and kinesiology, and awareness was a big piece of it. But it was always talked about in the sense of, well, this person's it would be as a way to kind of categorize people as clumsy or athletic, in terms of that person doesn't know, like, the hand-eye coordination isn't there, the awareness piece isn't there. And I think there's just so much more to it than we realize, or that we tend to give credit to or admit.
Yeah, I love how you mentioned hand-eye coordination. That's definitely a type of body awareness that's more sport related. So how do you practice body awareness currently?
I try to, and I'm not always successful every day. It depends on the day. It depends on the demands of my child or the demands of my, 200 students. But I try to take quiet breaks for myself, like sit quietly and like shut out the noise. There's so much noise in our lives, and it's social media, or it's the opinions of others, or it's the alternative facts. It's whatever is in our face all the time. And I think I've mentioned before, we live in a world where we're so connected all the time, but yet so disconnected from who we are, because we get, I think, so easily wrapped up in the opinions, thoughts, and arguments of other people that we forget to go, what is it that I think? And be okay with not agreeing with somebody. So I try to take just quiet sit breaks and literally do like a head to toe inventory. Just breathing deeply, shutting out the noise, trying not to think about anything, and just evaluating, like, okay, how am I feeling mentally? And really, I'll use the chakras sometimes too. Like, do I feel grounded? Do I need to do some grounding? And it just brings me back to center. Like, okay, and when I do that, I often feel like then I understand why I feel a certain way. Like, oh, maybe it's, my heart chakra that's off a little bit right now, and I need to like send it some love or send it some energy. I know it sounds all very like touchy-feely and worshiping crystals. I don't do that. But there is something to be said for the energy flow of the body. And so I really try to respect that and respect how I feel, because in the industry that we're in, it's always about everybody else. You and I are always focused on teaching somebody else, sending a message, communicating something, or making a new discovery. So it makes it really hard to go, wait a minute, I can't pour from an empty cup. I need to take my own quiet break. And even if it's 5 minutes, and I really like to be in the corpse pose in yoga, the shavasana, and just do that inventory. How am I feeling?
That's great.
And let the breath cleanse. It works 99% of the time.
Wow. And so is this what you would teach to clients or people that you work with? How do you teach body awareness to others?
I would, but I would also consider what works for them.
Mm.
I mean, some clients are not going to like yoga. And I think in any experience I've had with that, and I'm not a certified yoga teacher by any means, but it is something I like to incorporate into my practices, even health coaching practices, because there is a mind, body, spirit connection. And I think when a client is resistant or ambivalent to yoga, they come in with that preconceived notion of, oh, it's about religion. Dude, it's so not about religion. Like, you got to read some Sanskrit history. You got to read some yoga history, because it's not about that. It's literally about building a relationship with your body and knowing how to ground your energy and how to become unupsettable. You know, don't get rocked off your center. And that's really hard for humans to do and master. I don't have it mastered at all. But the point is, like, it's commitment and consistency. Mm-hmm. And so I'll try to incorporate some of that. Mm-hmm. In other ways, sometimes it's just some certain stress management techniques or tools that I find work with them. I have to consider, you know how it is when you're working with a client, you have to consider what their lifestyle is like. Do they have social support? Mm-hmm. We know that's a huge predictor of success. Mm-hmm. And a cornerstone to basically sustaining behavior change and making it a vital part of their lives. So you have to consider all of those aspects. People are like a puzzle.
Yeah.
And you try one piece and it's just not quite the most comfortable fit. Great, we tried it. It didn't work. It wasn't your favorite. Let's just move on. It's fine. That's really what it's about. And I think that's really what it's about for us individually, is that journey of, it is a journey. You're going to find some things you like and you're going to find some things you don't like. That's okay. That is okay. We don't have to love everything. Not everything is going to be your cup of tea. Accept it. Move on.
Yeah, that's a great approach. I like that. There's no go-to. You just
no.
start. But is there anything that you always start with, or like a type of breathing that you like to teach people?
You know, I really do. With sessions with clients, the majority come in just frantic and just frazzled and like, oh my God, you would not believe this day, or you would not believe, I mean, I do it. Mark comes home and I'll just start right in chirping away about whatever dumpster fire happened. But I try to really, as an empath, I think I have that gift to sense somebody else's energy. Mm-hmm. So I can read it. When somebody comes in, I can tell just by the way they're holding their shoulders, the look on their face, if they've got that, like, if their tongue is slammed up against the roof of their mouth versus away in a relaxed breathing state. More often than not, I can feel that myself. And so depending on how that is, I try to really, okay, let's get focused, but I don't do it in such a directive way. It's collaborative. Like, we'll start out with some gentle, you know, just conversation even. And I try to, like, bring down the level of intensity of their stress. And with others, it's easier. Mm-hmm. You know, with others, they kind of, it's a different personality. It's a different zone of life that they're in. But either way, I try to find a way to focus the session, whether it's a coaching session or a workout, or even if it's just a follow-up or check-in. And I try to take an inventory of, okay, so these are the things that are going on. I wonder what it would look like if I suggested X, Y, and Z for them to practice at home. And I always try to send them away with something tangible. Because I think the ultimate goal of anything we do in this profession is to train people not to need us. Not to need us as a crutch, mm-hmm. to be able to help them develop their own level of self-efficacy so that they can then move forward and practice everything that they've been taught.
Definitely. That's great. So as I've come along in my body awareness journey, I've come to really appreciate this concept of yin and yang. And I'm wondering
Mhm.
if the word yin means anything to you, or if you know what it is even.
I think either word, yin or yang, represents partial balance or even imbalance in some ways. I mean, the Chinese philosophy is about, the yin, if I'm correct. If I'm not, I apologize to whoever sees this interview. But yin typically is representative of like the female balance in the universe or in nature.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on what book you read, it's going to be slightly different. But really, it's the darker
Mm-hmm.
of the balance of that half.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the yang, on the other hand, is the male counterpart, and together that then represents light and warmth and heavens and something like that. And you bring the two together, and then the picture is whole. And so if I see one word without the other, it says to me imbalance.
Mm.
Like there's something that needs to come
Mm.
together. And whether that's because I, have always been interested, and even when I was a teenager, I had this poster, and I can still picture where I had it in my room, of yin and yang.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, like every time I would see that poster, it would remind me of like balance. Like balance has always been a theme, I think, that's spoken to me, even from a young age, even though I probably wasn't emotionally mature enough at that point to like truly appreciate what it meant. I do now. Because life has a way, adulthood has a way of like constantly challenging your balance and constantly pulling you in this direction or that direction or up and down and throwing you on the ground. And so, I mean, when I see just yin by itself, I'm like, ooh, that says imbalance. But it also speaks to the feminine as well, because that's truly what it does represent.
Interesting. Thanks for sharing those thoughts. So as we close out today, I'm wondering if you have a favorite book or a website or a blog about body awareness, anything that you would want to share with anyone watching that they could
Oh,
explore it from your perspective further.
yes, I do. One of the books that I just actually read in the last couple of years is called Conquest of Mind, and it's by Eknath Easwaran. And I apologize to the man if I am slaughtering his name, but it is this beautiful book, a fast read about truly conquering the mind. Like we control our mind, and there's a lot of awareness in there. There's a lot of mindfulness, and it's really about learning to just harness that energy, harnessing anything outside of you that threatens to throw you off balance or to basically interrupt your thinking brain's ability to respond with grace. That's hard to do. I mean, you look around the world now and people are fighting constantly on social media. Like sometimes I can't do it. Political landscapes are eroding, respect is eroding, guns, no guns. Like it's just craziness. And that book, I just love the principles that he teaches in it. And I love the fact that he's so authentic in the way he communicates it. Mm-hmm. He says, I'm not perfect. I get this wrong all the time. And that to me is one of the greatest teachers that can open up their own vulnerability and be like, I don't always get it right. Because I'm like, yes, there's somebody else that sucks every once in a while. Because it speaks to our human nature. It speaks to the fact that by nature we are flawed. Sure. But there are ways to use those flaws in a productive way. So that's one book. The other book is by Glennon Doyle Melton, and it's called Carry On Warrior. And it's like the art of embracing your beautiful, messy life. This woman, and no, her book is not strictly about awareness and mindfulness, but it's about her journey through which she develops both. And you will laugh, you will cry. Her humor is so in line with mine, which is probably why I feel so connected to her. But it's her journey. She has amazing TED Talks on YouTube. I would recommend any one of them because it really is about her vulnerability as a human and the flaws that she has and the conditions she's had to overcome. And she's a tremendous writer. Oh, anyone that can, I feel the written word in an eloquent way is art. And it can make me weep if I see something so beautifully written and I'm like, oh, if only I could do that. I so respect you. So that's another one. And then anything by Brene Brown.
Mm.
The woman's amazing. There's a book, Into the Wilderness, and I love the crux of it because it's about speaking truth to BS. So speak your truth. That's part of developing an awareness, is knowing what your truth is.
Mm-hmm.
Is it my truth, or is it the truth that everybody else wants me to say because, oh, it's the politically correct thing to do? Or are you going to hone in on your own truth and go, you know what? No, I don't agree with it, and here's exactly why I don't agree with it. I think you're making a mistake. Speak your truth. So those three are, I think they're indispensable tools that everybody should read and have on hand.
It sounds a lot like you really connect body awareness to the mind, and that you
Very.
you tune into your body to decide what might come out of your mouth or what might come out of your
Yes, and
like.
sometimes it doesn't always work. I will say my filter sometimes gets full.
But
But
you use it as a place to go into, and you need that when you need a consult.
yes, yes, very much so.
When we remember. So that's wonderful. I love that perspective. So before as we close out, would you like to share any products, services, or anything you're excited about that you're working on right now?
Yeah, sure. So for a long time in my career, I spent the majority of it as an administrator in higher education and an instructor. And I always had this dream to work one-on-one. I mean, I had the personal training experience as well. I did that, and as my job got more and more demanding and there were more and more programs we developed, it kind of didn't leave much space for me to carve out for health coaching. So I pursued a health coaching certification and have it, and am working towards trying to create a virtual health coaching business. Because as we see, the trend is moving further away from the face-to-face, the physical face-to-face, and doing more things like you and I are doing, like connecting over some sort of digital platform. So I'm working on that, and then I would really like to work on a series of courses that are offered online through whatever platform. I haven't quite decided which is my favorite. I'm looking at Teachable and a couple of others, but a series of courses that are about body harmony. How do we teach people, and how then do we learn to create harmony in our lives? Because that's going to look different for everybody. And there's so much of this outside influence of, you have to do this many times a week, and you have to eat this many times a week to be X. And that's not what it's about, because we're then, in teaching that, we're then assuming that everybody fits in the same box, in the same mold, and the same things speak to every person. And that's not true. It's very much not true. And that's part of learning your own awareness, is what resonates with me, what makes me feel whole, what makes me feel balanced. So I'm working on a series of those courses. And of course, I mean, I'm a writer by passion, nature, and I can't seem to get away from it. And not that I want to, but I'm sure there's a book somewhere in my future, but I just don't know at what point. But that's kind of the exciting part, is I don't know what's next.
Yeah, absolutely. If
No.
you resonated with what Erin had to say, I recommend that you get in touch with her. Again, you're found online. I'll put the links up with this video. Be live, stay well, or
Be, live, stay well.
be live, stay well, and Erin Nitschke. But you can look all that up afterwards. So thanks so much for sharing your thoughts with me today, Erin.
Thank you for asking. It was fun.